Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 34 of The Home Front. I got one request about topics this evening, and we're going to talk about after rehab value. This is an investment term, and I will explain to you exactly what it is. So if you're jumping on now, let me know that you're on so I can say hi, and thank you again for jumping on my real estate show. I come to you almost every day to talk about real estate. I give you topics that are hopefully valuable to you, kind of explaining things in the real estate industry that might help you in your home search process or your investment process. But we'll start with ARV. And please hit that like button or hit the love button, hit the mad face. Let me know what you think. Please engage with me because I want it to be a value to you. I don't just do this for myself. I do this to help you. So here we go. We'll start with the ARV. The ARV is a term after rehab value, and I'm going to read the technical definition so you understand. It's the fixed up value. Basically, when you're buying a house that isn't in the best condition and you want to flip it, it's a flip term, you're going to fix it up. So that after rehab value is where you're starting. It's a similar house. It would be what you could sell the house for if it were in top-notch condition. So it's the fixed up value that you're going to start with because that's how you determine your sales price. And when you're talking about, well, what can I buy it for? You have to determine the right purchase price. And if you don't determine that in the beginning, you could end up losing a whole lot of money in the end. So you make your money when you purchase the house. The first thing we look at is we pull comps, looking at the neighborhood, doing a comparison, looking at the condition. You have to put your eyes on that house. Make sure exactly what kind of work needs to be done. You have to have a good idea of the work and how much it's going to cost to fix it before you know how much you can spend on it. What's up, Jim? Thank you for jumping on. Nelson, thank you. Please stop me if you have any questions. This is really geared toward an investor who is getting into flipping. What's going on, Janice? Thank you. So the first thing I determine when I find a house that is a good possibility for purchase is I pull the comps. I look at the condition of those houses. Maybe I will even go and preview those houses, depending on what's going on, how many comps I pull, if it's possible for me to go out to all those houses. And then I will start making deductions. A lot of investors, or the rule of thumb, I wouldn't say a lot of investors, I'm not going to say this is what they all do because a lot of them actually don't use this. It's called the 70% rule. You never want to pay more than 70% of the ARV, after rehab value, on purchasing. Now, again, you could really screw yourself up if you don't do your research and understand what you're purchasing. So if the house is worth $250,000 and you do the 70% rule, let me pull that up real quick. Let's see. And that's just a good guide. You really need to make sure you do the actual work. That would be $175,000. So you wouldn't purchase the house if you're just following that rule. You wouldn't purchase the house for more than $175,000. But that would mean that you don't need any more of that. Let's see. You want to make sure you include all your costs. Holding costs are very important. Closing costs. There's two sides of closing costs to think about. There's the side when you're purchasing it for yourself, and there's also when you're selling it. And then you need to take into account realtor fees, because if you put it on the market, there is going to be a realtor. Even if you're a realtor, when you're purchasing it or when you're selling it, you still have to pay someone else. Unless you're going to be able to sell it and procure a buyer without putting it on the market, you're severely limiting yourself. So getting a good deal on the property is the best thing you can do. Now, the question that I had specifically that came up that Valentine asked was, what if you're hiring subcontractors? Again, that has to be thought about before you purchase the property. Because if you're trying to cut down on your expenses and then you have something unexpected come up, you're going to have less profit in the end. So you really have to think about all the possibilities and evaluate the risk, because you're not going to make more money the more money that you spend. You're going to make less money, and you're not going to be able to go back in time. The ARV on the property is not guaranteed. It is something that is the buyer is going to guarantee. You can run the comps, but until it's sold, it's not sold. Until someone actually finds the value in that property, you aren't going to make any money until it's sold and they determine what the value of that property is. The only thing as an investor that you have control over is your purchase price. So you definitely want to make sure that you purchase that at the right price. And that, hopefully that explains ARV to a newbie investor. What's up, Dee? Thank you for joining. If you guys have any questions, I would love to help you. This little bit of information says sometimes it is extensive rehab and remodel work. We were just working on a house that needed the roof done. They blew out some of the walls. They had to redo the flooring, get all new appliances, redo the bathrooms, the tile. We're looking at a potential house that needs foundation work. All of these things need to be taken into account, and just using some standard rule is really a dangerous way, and really you're taking a lot of risk by doing that. If you're a new investor and something that you want to get started in, I can definitely help you and kind of guide you in places to look to find information that is free. I don't recommend that anybody go out and spend thousands and thousands of dollars with classes and gurus unless it's something you don't feel like reading. But there are a ton of books that you can purchase just to start getting involved. There's a podcast that I listen to that I started listening to a couple years ago just to start understanding where to start, basically. There's so much free information out there on flipping, and it seems to be the trend. It isn't what it looks like on HGTV. It's really not. It can be stressful. You can lose a lot of money. So I recommend just enjoying the process. Make sure that this is something that you want to do before you jump in. Hey, Valentine, what's going on? I was just answering your question. Glad you jumped on. But we were talking about, obviously, if you're hiring subcontractors, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were saying about the ARV with subcontractors. And I said you really have to make that determination from the beginning. It's something you need to factor in before you even purchase it, because if you purchase the house and then you decide then the cost goes up, then you're just going to lose money. Your profit's going to get smaller and smaller. Marcus says, thanks for doing this. At what stage should you make the decision to go all in or pull out? When you're writing the contract, or before you get a signed contract. That's when you make the decision. You really have to do your due diligence before you even start. Because once you've purchased and you're locked into a contract, you have very few ways to pull out. This is not a joke. It's a legal contract. You can be sued for performance. So I would suggest, if you're a brand new investor, start talking to people. A lot of people will give you free information. Don't try to do it on your own. Learn the ropes. Try to get a mentor. Just get involved in an investment club that's local to you and just try to learn as much as you can. I got involved in an investment club, and it's local, and it helped me to meet a lot of people in my area, some of the hard money lenders, and that's a whole nother road to go down. Hard money lending is very expensive, but it's a good way to get started. John, hello, Krista. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Oh, thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, I would love to help you or just even chat with you about it. Majority of so yes, I wouldn't say the majority, but I mean your experience is different. They quit when they want, and contractors have to do. Yeah, your experience is definitely different. I work with contractors that are very familiar, so we have a good relationship, and that we haven't had that problem. But I do agree. I mean, you're going to run into criminals. You're going to run into issues. You just have to know who you're working with, and you really have to make sure you have that area pretty much on lock. But I mean, I don't know how, I've heard some stories from you about Texas, so I know it's probably not the easiest market for sure. Marcus Anderson, thank you. You fired 3 yesterday. Wow. You're going through a lot down there. I hear your stories are crazy. And thank you for joining, Ryan. We're talking about investment this evening, or investing this evening, flipping. We really haven't gotten into the rentals, but it's pretty similar. I think buying and holding is a lot easier in terms of sometimes the work that needs to be done is the same, but then you're talking about a whole other thing about property management, and or if you want to be a landlord yourself and not hire a property manager, there's a lot of work involved, and it really has to be something that is something you want to take on for sure. But I love to hear your stories, and I can't wait to interview you, Valentine. I know you said no way. You're always crazy. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to interview you so we can talk about some of these insane stories. Just let me know when. I think you said May today, but I wasn't sure if that was in regard to the interview. But yeah, if you have any questions, I'd love to help you. Anything real estate related or otherwise, please feel free to get in touch with me on Facebook. And any topics you guys would like more information on, please let me know. I'm the landlord, worst job ever. There are some horror stories out there about being a landlord. I definitely know that. I don't know what your rental laws are in Texas, but I know some places like New York and DC are more tenant friendly, and it's hard to get serial tenants out of there. But in Virginia, there's pretty strict laws. It's a lot easier. The DEA follows me all the time because wow. I don't know if you have a friend in the DEA or you just, if that's what you have somebody you hired. What's going on, Kathy? Kent? Thanks for joining tonight. We were talking about investing and specifically flips and what the definition of the ARV is. But I think we're going to wrap this up. If you have any questions, again, you guys can find me on Facebook. I'm on Snapchat, Twitter, any kind of social medium. I'm there. So thanks again for joining, and I will see you guys tomorrow.